monsters! The island sprung a leak! Run! First, the Queen issues a decree that changes... Suddenly, the ground opens, spewing water and strange creatures. They attacked us. Luckily, one of the newcomers, a Khajiit, leaped in and drove them back. Called himself Razumdar. He could probably use some help if you're so inclined.
Have you ever seen such creatures? Raz has not. Probably neither have you. You are a newcomer, yes? New to this island of high elves? This one has an eye for such things. And you look capable. So can Raz interest you in some cloak and dagger work? Ominous? No, nothing of the sort. Well, maybe a little of the sort. Depends on how things develop. Raz has come to Summerset at the behest of Queen Irene to make sure her decree regarding the opening of the island proceeds as she directed. Ask some questions, determine the mood in Shimmerin, and see how the newcomers are faring. Rumors have reached the Queen, and she is concerned. So Razumdar comes to see what is happening and fight strange creatures. Now Raz is concerned as well. While you ask questions around the city, Raz can take care of some other business. It may or may not involve scratching and clawing. Let's meet near the entrance to Shimmerin when you have something to report. Raz never saw such monsters in his life. They appear related to water, but this one tends to avoid this stuff. That pearl, though, Raz swears it was calling those creatures. A mystery for another time, perhaps. Now, we need to see to the nuke. As a matter of fact, Raz made a list. Old Newell, a high elf artisan, spoke out. See what she complained about. Then there's Soxolza, a persecuted Argonian newcomer. Finally, Ranuel, a city resident noted in the divine prosecutions. Old Newell complained about it. No. Raz doesn't want to prejudice your investigation. You will find out when you talk to her. The artists like to gather shells along the eastern coast. True, not enough syllables. Ranuel's a Redguard, whose family has lived in Shimmerin for generations. He's a well-respected trader, with a few warehouses along the docks. Talk to him before the Divine Prosecution decides to arrest him. The Divine Prosecution serves as lawkeepers and protectors of social standards. Very persnickety. When the rules are broken, they record it in their observation logs. If your name winds up on their list, things get complicated. Something to do with monks and newcomer registration. Raz is looking into that. Last I heard, Soxolza was seen leaving the city and heading west. Probably trying to reach the water. Lizards like water, yes? Not Raz. Gugh. Raz hates the wet stuff. Nothing at all. Unless you think they came to Summerset because of the Queen's decree. No, that would be ridiculous. Let's not lose focus. Just see what old Newell, Soxolza, and Ranuel have to say about newcomers and the mood in Shimmerin. We need to confirm these rumors or else put an end to them. Everyone should be pleased with the Queen's decree. Opening the border shows progress, yes? However, if any of her loyal subjects reject progress, well, Raz, while you ask questions around the city, Raz can take care of some other business. It may or may not involve scratching and clawing. Let's meet near the entrance to Shimmerin when you have something to report. Raz knows very little about city ordinances or how to tell the difference between mead and ale, so Let's avoid those topics, yes? Otherwise, this one knows all about the Queen's decree and the initial reaction of the nobles and king lady.
Not that you'd understand the concept, but the path to Alaxon requires dedication and complete concentration. I must find the perfect shells, or my pigments will be substandard. And do you know what that will do to my art? Exactly. An ultimate concept practiced widely here in Somerset. Alaxon is the state of perfection that every high elf strives for. The path to Alaxon represents the approach we take to achieve that state. Now, why have you interrupted my work? I believe in caution as much as the next high elf, but sometimes the rules get in the way of common sense. My apprentice lived here for more than a year. Good help is so hard to find, especially among the newcomers. And she was adept at making dyes. They took her away. Said they had to scrutinize her qualifications, test her knowledge of culture and etiquette. But I haven't seen her since. My work suffers, so of course I complained to the monks. Now I have to gather my own shells. They told me I could fill out some forms and appeal to the kin lady. But who has time for such bureaucracy? And for a wood elf? I've said too much. I have work to do, and all this aggravation has diverted my path to Alaxon. Perfection requires constant vigilance, so back to it.
Seeking a sip of fine Russifeld red? Prepare... Headed to the famed Russifeld winery, traveler. Well then, it seems I'm not the only one who'll be disappointed today. Old Hallimorian's been offed by those wood elves. Won't be any wine tasting for a while, I'd wager. Just what I heard from one of the bailiffs. Apparently, some daffy Bosmer called the Ghost of the Green did it, but no one knows for sure. The investigation's hit a snag. Something about the rule of three. Superstitious nonsense, if you ask me. Indeed. Until they find a suitable third investigator, the Juris Reeves and Revelators are left to sit on their hands. Nonsense. Why not go lend them a hand? They'll likely just tell you to go jump into the sea, but it can't hurt to ask.
I am desperate.
Hurrah, Caravel. How can a humble merchant help so exalted a personage on this fine and fine day? The Divine? Did a justiciar send you to harass me? I've lived in Somerset my whole life, and I did nothing wrong. You high elves, you say we're welcome, and then you treat us like criminals. Is there any wonder I had to speak out? After I filled out all the proper forms and arranged to bring my cousin here, the ship arrived and they carted all the newcomers away. For questioning, they said. I complained to the kin lady, but what has it profited me? Nothing! Oh, my family has been here for generations and generations. Before the Queen's decree, outsiders might have been rare, but we were not unheard of. Our business has grown and gets better every day. That's why I sent for my cousin. We need the help. Somerset is a rare and beautiful jewel in the Abetian Sea. I love it here. The High Elves treat us like children, but they have never been hostile. The Queen's decree has stirred the waters, though. I fear it will get worse before it gets better.
Next time I'm in the field, I think, welcome to our hall. Are you familiar with the guild? The Fighters Guild. You should consider joining up. We have a new guildmaster and a new singular purpose. Why don't we talk for a moment? Excellent. I know we'll all be drawing blades together soon enough. Now, what can I tell you? Right. Our new guildmaster is an Argonian, sees all colors. She has us all hunting down the Daedra and their damned anchors. You might have seen them. Enormous chains, plagues of Daedra boil out to lay waste to the countryside. Hard fights. Ha! There's a good question. We train our members in special techniques, and the higher-ups are always looking for motivated members to help with special projects. You never know, you might be the next Yofnir. Guildmaster Yofnir passed away recently, very suddenly. I always thought he'd die with a blade in his hand. But he passed away in his sleep, called to Sovngarde by his ancestors. We all miss him, but Colors has proven to be a very able leader. No, we only draw blades in service to the Guild. We're technically neutral in the war between the three alliances. We love the Eagle Banner and Her Majesty, of course. But every race, every creed belongs under the Guild Hall's roof. Excellent. I know we'll all be drawing blades together soon enough. Right. Our new guildmaster is an... Ha! There's a good question. Then let me be the first to officially...
This is unheard of. Why have you closed the monastery?
Such anger. Raz never expected to hear such words from the Queen's loyal subjects. The sentiment isn't universal, but enough feel this way for Raz to be concerned. Did you learn anything interesting from the people I sent you to talk to? Sequestered? Just a different word for imprisoned, yes. Ranul's cousin just arrived, but Olnewell's assistant has lived on Summerset since long before the Queen ever issued her decree. What about the lizard? What did Solza have to say? Why would the Aldar gather up newcomers and non-High Elf residents alike and send them to the monastery? Does the King Lady condone this behavior? Raz's head itches, and not in a good way. Our course is clear, Five Claw. We must go to the monastery. Raz admires your enthusiasm, but this one needs you to enter the monastery on your own. Raz has other fish to catch. This one will help you get past the sentry, though. When you notice that the sentry is distracted, just sleep quietly inside.
You there! I have a... Damn it, why won't this work?
Did you see a golden knight?
I have no idea what that was, and I'm not sure I want to know.
Sentry, Raz owes you for that game of cards and has come to pay.
Well, I don't recall any... You say I won some gold?
No, not now, please. You'll have to ask one of the monks that the new Aldork brought with him. They deal with all the newcomer testing and evaluations. I'm just a simple monk trying to catch up on my sleep. That was a hint, by the way. Aldork Tilkala arrived right after the Queen issued her decree. He came highly recommended by King Lady Avanice, or so I heard. It's not unusual for monks to form attachments and move together, but there's something strange about that bunch. The Aldork and his monks keep to themselves. They've taken the Undercroft for their own purposes and ordered the rest of us to avoid the ancient vaults beneath the monastery. Now, please, let me get back to my... The monastery should be a place of peace and meditation. The Aldork has closed us down until further notice. That means if any of the monks spot you, they'll raise the alarm. Me? I never saw you.
What's the matter with you? Get out of here. You can't stay. You just can't.
You've got to the count of 3 to leave. 1.
Unusual knick-knack for an Aldark's office, wouldn't you agree? I noticed you skulking around while I was engaged in some skulking of my own. I suppose we both came to the monastery with a similar purpose in mind. The sequestered newcomers. I came to find out what happened to a friend. I assume that's what brought you here as well? A house of worship shouldn't be used as an internment camp, and it shouldn't be locked to the public either. Interesting. I've never seen anything quite like it. I find it intriguing and a bit disturbing. But we aren't here to discuss curios. Strange creatures notwithstanding, we need to find out what's happening with the missing newcomers. The sentry doesn't appear to have stopped you, so I could ask you the same question. Let's just agree that we both have our methods. Curious, but I feel that there's more going on in Shimmerine than the usual politics and community relations. That's the question, my cautious friend. We have a newly appointed Aldark and a disgruntled kin lady, both opposed to the Queen's decree. What's their connection to the missing newcomers? I was about to explore the Undercroft. Care to join me? A curious pearl. I wonder where the Aldark acquired it. Probably not important. I'll meet you in the Undercroft, and we can see what's going on with the newcomers.
I should be seeing your back walking out of here by now.
What do you want?
Something's wrong down here. I sense magic. Vile magic. Cages? These people did nothing to deserve such treatment. There's someone alive over there. See if you can help her.
Thank the Divines! You aren't one of the monks. Please, let me out of here. It's a nightmare. We came to Summerset to seek new opportunities. We barely stepped off the ship when they marched us to the monastery. The monks gathered them a few moments ago and took them through the door on the far side of the chamber. Please, let me out of here before they take me away like the others.
Is that a scoffin? A Daedra. Here? And that's a scoffin, if I remember my Daedric recitations correctly. Very curious. An excellent question, and one I hope to find the answer to. From the evidence before us, it appears this Nord killed the scoffin before he succumbed to his own wounds. Good for him. I found this key on the creature's belt, so we can open that door. Then I suggest we pick up the pace. We need to determine what's actually happening down here, and who's behind all this. Without answers to those questions, we won't be able to decide on our best course of action. I'll explain everything later. For now, we need to hurry. these people. I'll deal with the pearl. You hold off these creatures. Those poor people. This wasn't just about newcomers and opposing the Queen's decree. That was Daedric magic back there. I just wish we had arrived a few moments earlier. I promised to explain what I know. I suppose that now's as good a time as any. I'm a member of the Psijic Order. Our Rite Master sent me to investigate a warning we received about a plot involving Summerset. My inquiries led me here. Oriandra is indeed a member of our ancient monastic society. We once served as advisors to the rulers of Tamriel, but that was before we removed our island home from the world. Now this threat has drawn us back. But why are you involved in all this? An Eye of the Queen? Interesting. I diffused the Daedric magic and transported the pearl to Artaeum, the Psijic island, for safekeeping and study, so we can learn more about it. But we can discuss this further once we get out of here. Living on Orteum for a few centuries doesn't prepare you for physical activity. Let the Eye of the Queen know what we discovered, and I'll catch up with you later.
What you need.
Ah, this one's new partner returns. What interesting scandal did you uncover in the monastery? Tell Raz every juicy detail. That isn't the kind of scandal Raz was hoping for. Murder, Daedric rituals, and traitorous behavior have a way of ruining an otherwise perfect day. We need to learn the extent of the Kin Lady's involvement, and by we, Raz means you. Accuse? Not exactly. Raz wants you to talk to her. See what she knows about the Oldark. The Kin Lady is meeting with local leaders. Attend that meeting and learn the truth. This invitation and set of elegant clothes will get you through the door. A Sijik? Raz has heard rumors, but there are always rumors about the Sijiks. For an island of sages who disappeared more than 300 years ago, they certainly seem to get around. Did this Sijik mage say what the Order was investigating? There was a life-sucking pearl. You should probably have led with that bit of information. Well, we can worry about the Sijik mage and figure out where these pearls came from later. For now, go see what the Kin Lady has to say. Kin Lady Avanice and Raz do not get along. You see, there was a horse, a platter of pudding tarts, and... No. This one won't bore you with the sordid details. Besides, everyone behaves well when they see Raz. You will learn more than I will.